Hi, this is Derek with another movie review for HorrorNerds.com, and today I'm going to be talking about the 2012 film Antiviral, and it was directed by a certain Brandon Cronenberg. Anybody who knows horror movies definitely knows that last name as David Cronenberg, who produced such wonderful films like Videodrome and Dead Ringers, my personal fave of his. This is his son, and it's sort of a debut, if you will, or at least the first time I've heard of him. It also has a pretty decent cast, because as Brandon directed it, he also wrote it, but he, I believe, really wanted to pick the right cast for his movie, and he did. The main character is Caleb Landry Jones, who plays Sid March in the film. Caleb has been most notably in the X-Men films as Banshee, the recent ones anyways, and also I think I've caught him on a few episodes of Breaking Bad. There's a couple other people in this movie that I guess I could mention, such as Sara Gadon, who's done a million different things, mostly TV work. Caught her on Flashpoint one night. Douglas Smith, Joe Pang, Nicholas Campbell, Sheila McCarthy, the list goes on. It's a decent cast. But what really makes this movie, I think, is the Cronenberg effect, and I'm going to call it that because, quite simply, this movie is very much stylized, for starters, and this is such a refreshing breath of movie air, so to speak. We don't have the handheld shaky cams that, directors these days are seemingly convinced is, the only way to film things anymore, which to me just translates as an excuse to not, utilize your budget for nice, panoramic screenshots or, nice stylized effects. This movie has, old school traditional shots that are, everything's framed, and it kind of fits the story too, because I think this movie is sort of a meditation on perfection and how far you'd go to get it and get near it. In our culture, we have celebrities that sort of embody the idea of perfectionism. This movie is about Sid March being able to take the things that make those celebrities imperfect, such as their sickness, and give that to fans so they can somehow feel closer to them. I mean, it even goes so far as to have like steaks that are injected with fan flaws or things of what nature, and people eat it because it makes them feel close to them. I mean, it's kind of a really crazy, messed up, nth degree of fanaticism, but nevertheless, it might be our culture someday, and Cronenberg would certainly be attributed for having seen into the future with his movie Crystal Ball, if that is the case. But for now, we're treated to just his version of what could be the future, and everything is sort of cold, it's sterilized, much like the scientist that he is. I found it interesting that as Sid, being the character of the movie who gives these things to fans, he also succumbs to it himself with Hannah Geist, the most popular celebrity, as he injects himself with her, problem, and then, by the end, he's trying to figure out, how to cure himself. I didn't like the ending. Speaking of, I don't want to give it away, but I will just say there's a lot of things unresolved. Also, too, when I found, about an hour into this film that it sort of became like a competitive, business rivalry sort of situation, the tone of the film shifted, and that's a sad and unfortunate thing, because up to I'd say the hour or so mark, the film really had a nice roll. It was carrying well. I was completely drawn into the world, especially because it kind of had a lot of remnants of American Psycho, and that every shot is so stylized and just nice. And then also at the same time, it sort of felt a little bit like Contagion. I know that might seem weird because, Sid's, one of his primary goals was to make sure that whoever got the disease or whatever problem couldn't transfer it. But yet it sort of had that kind of creepy urgency to the idea of, sickness and what we do with it, how we perceive it. So kudos to Brandon for this. I think it's a wonderful film. He's definitely following in his father's footsteps. I wouldn't say he's quite there, but then that's easy to say because in retrospect, everything looks golden and grand. But, Cronenberg's certainly taken his few punches on the chin for putting out a lot of clunkers. I mean, no offense to people that like Existence, but come on. In any event, I will say that, where his father has definitely seemed to put up the gloves, Brandon comes out swinging hard with this, and it's a worthy first step, I think, into the horror genre. It might not be his official first step, but it's definitely going to be the film I think that people are going to see that are going to be like, whoa, Brandon's here. So definitely a must-see film in my opinion. Definitely watch it if you're a horror fan. It will leave you not feeling good. It'll leave you feeling creeped out. It'll give you all the classic, symptoms of watching a great horror movie. You'll feel scared, enlightened, buzzed, but most of all, you'll feel grateful that you watched something that didn't just put you to sleep. So this has been my review for HorrorNerds.com. Hopefully you liked it, and we'll be talking.